So going back to the runoffs, what do you like to see in that transition week of the first few weeks of flower? Are you still seeing a 3 EC, or are you climbing up a bit?
No, I start climbing up a bit. Kind of about 2 weeks in is when I start seeing them climb. I don't really check that first week because after we go 48 hours of being on the slabs, I'll take 3 to 4 days of letting them dry back. Wanting the roots to really chase into that
Drying
slab.
harder.
Yep, drying them pretty darn hard. So it's been a while since I did check an initial runoff after an immediate dry down. But to me, that's completely invaluable. You know, the plant's looking healthy. I know that my EC's probably skyrocketed because it's dried for so long. I mean, even 3 days in a slab, your pH is going to be shifting quite a bit. So as long as my plants are really looking healthy, I'm not really checking my pH or my EC runoff until about 2 weeks into flower. That's when I kind of start again.
Okay. So keeping it really simple.
Yeah, keep it simple. Like, again, we just look for plant health, you know. If everything's super green and vibrant and praying and the plant's thriving, it's charging, you know, I'm getting a nice tight stacking on it, a lot of branching. It's super vigorous, you know, like, not saying look the other way, but I don't need to break into things pretty good. What we will do is we'll just grab an X-Acto blade on a couple slabs. I'll bring tape into the room and we'll cut the side of a slab open and just making sure that the rooting process is really well and the roots are kind of like scaling and trying to develop as much as they can throughout the block. And I'm running the one dripper. I've had actually a little bit more success with that. I've seen other dudes on Instagram that have, you know, 2 drippers in it and maybe they get an even watering, but for us on that smaller block, it looks like it's getting saturated pretty darn well to where it's got even distribution.
Just with one dripper.
With one dripper. The whole entire slab is very well saturated. You know, the stalks of the plant are charging to where 14 days in, they're on a full irrigation where every day they're getting, for our facility, 15 to, let's say, 1,500 to 2,000 mLs per plant. The stock on the initial plug is now starting to break through the 4x4, you know, and the 4x4 is starting to split a little bit. They're biting in so well to the slab. And then from day 14 on, we check once or twice a week the pH and the EC. And I really don't want to see the EC climbing more than like 1.5 to 2 over the input every week as we go throughout.
Okay.
And then typically, we start our flushing at day 50. I tailor back on the nutrients kind of like at day 45, we start dropping the temps and the humidity a bit. So then it's like the plant's, its responses, it's not wanting to eat as much. I can't put the same volume in or my runoff will just be like extremely dramatic. I'd be overflowing these cups. So we drop the EC back. I typically will fill up a tank to 400 gallons instead of the 500 gallons and then just top it off with 100 of RO water to dilute it.
Okay.
And then my pH doesn't change. My EC would then go from a 3.0 to a 2.0, 2.1, 2.2. And then we feed the rooms with a little bit less irrigations. So then maybe I'm chasing for 12 to 1,500 mLs per plant versus our 15, 18, 2,000 mLs if the plant's really charging.
What are your frequencies that you're running on irrigations when you transition to flower? Are you still going to 6 to 8? Are you going up?
We're probably at like 10 to 12 shots.
10 to 12 shots for how long?
For 4 minutes.
4 minutes. Okay.
4 minutes. The half gallon.
Okay.
Half gallon per hour dripper.
And do you adjust that based on cultivar or?
Totally.
Yep.
Just kind of see
how
where
much
it's at.
Drinking.
Yeah, and then someone will set like an alarm in the phone, you know, if we're aiming to get 8, 10, 12 irrigations, you know, by the time we're supposed to get maybe irrigation 8, if we start at 8 a.m. and we are feeding every 20 minutes, by like 11:30 maybe we'd set alarms. So 2.5 hours into the irrigations, we'll go into the room and just see, like, if we're starting to the slabs are bleeding, we already know, like, hey, we can cut back. And then just a light hand feel, sporadic here and there throughout the room and just kind of see like, hey, all these plants are saturated. Big thing with the trays is you've got all the crevices through the trays that you can look down. If I'm already seeing all of the slabs are bleeding and I've got ample runoff, I know like, hey, I don't need 10, 12 irrigations today. I can cut it back. Open sprinkler, baby. Just -1.
That's awesome.
And then monitor it.
And you're never changing your irrigation times. You're just changing your frequencies.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.